Next presentation will be a chapter on way forward to achieve the SDG in Korea, reformulating an enabling environment for sustainable development. The author of the chapter is Professor Kim Taekyoon, who is a professor at the Graduate School of International Studies in Seoul National University, and Dr. Kim Bo-kyung, who is a lecturer and a postdoctoral research fellow at the Graduate School of International Studies in Seoul National Universities. So, Professor Kim and Dr. Kim, it's yours.
Thank you very much for me to present 12 this wonderful book. So I think that I'm not going to today academically serious, because today is like the day of celebrating our, very important book. So I'm gonna speed up and then finish my presentation in less than 10 minutes. Right. So actually, every single the country of the members, to the achieve SDG level, they have to set up the national implementation mechanism. Also, how to do something more on the improving implementation, the schemes. So there are many different proposals, endorsed by the international community, so-called the multi-stakeholder cooperation, whole of government environment for. So this is the general framework how I see this case. So how to make the coherent mechanism to implement sustainable development goals. Of course, which should be customized by the different contexts, different social conditions. So the OECD suggests like themes and aims for the PSD. If you have the OECD the website, so I will skip this. So generally speaking, there are two different ways to set up the implementation mechanism for sustainable development goals. So I think the one is hierarchy, top-down and policy-making process. South Korea set up the multi-ministerial, how the negotiation or consultation process and set by the government, and also on the other hand, on the right side, the network government. So it's like they consist of the different stakeholders from the civil society or the other private sector engagements. So I just focus on South Korean case. So this is kind of the step-by-step, like how to expand the boundaries, the very traditional way of engaging, different stakeholders, and to, some the transformative format to expansion of the boundaries, so-called whole of society approach. So from the informative level, consultative and empowering and partnership, and finally inclusive and participative level. Right here, on the top, the sort of method of this coordination mechanism. So it's mostly, set by the government side. So ministerial hub, level hub, or high-level interministerial commission, or the National Council on Sustainable Development. So these, give some the funding or the some institutional, the setup, design, so-called SDG. And on the bottom, there are many different stakeholders from the CSO and to the other entities. So in order to combine together, the sustainable development network could be equalized to so-called advocacy coalition mechanism. So there are many different examples in South Korea which could be identified as sustainable development networks. So the space or the opportunities in which the government and the other stakeholders, third act, participate together. They push and new implemented in the name of the SDGs. So this is another level, another dimension to look at South Korean case from the phase 1 to final phase. So different informative. We just lay out some of the changes in the global level, like the MDG or SDG or kind of the. And Dr. Hong, a very in detailed manner, she explained the South Korean like the historical trajectory of changing mechanism in the civil society. So I'm gonna like the final. So we just evaluate South Korea is now at stage like partnership between the government and then the other stakeholders in order to make the enabling environment for SDG implementation. So the next stage, like the next task is like, how we can go into the final phase, like participatory level. And the stakeholders, they very work together very seriously to make some kind of consensus, and then some new proposal to be, the include as the kind of mechanism as we have to be still a long way to go. Real like the entering into the phase 5. So that could be related to our concluding remark and the challenges ahead. So this is like it was a peer review. There are many, the critics against South Korea up to 2019, the new policy framework. But still, there are some critics from the outside about that issue. And then the next, I think, the in South Korea nationalizing. So efforts may endeavor to nationalize or contextualize SDG implementation by deflecting all the comments from the outside and the inside as well. But still, we have some tasks to be nationalized for SDG implementation. And finally, there is a very critical issue to who is the right entity to be accountable for the performance. Right. So very comments on our paper, how to link the governance partnership strategies to the global level. So I just talk about some of the national level of South Korea, but the next level, I guess how we can show South Korean case, which could be connected or very well relevant for the good practice to the world.
Thank you very much, Professor Kim. I'm sorry that there is some kind of lack in the Zoom. I don't know why, but this kind of things happen. So please go back to the book. This is a good incentive to read the book. So I urge you to have a look on the chapters. Again, thank you very much, Professor Kim, for your presentation.